So I start this session, and I'm very honored. I'm not in the program. My name is Andreas Zick. I just gave a talk. I jump in for a colleague who's not here. My name is Andreas Zick from Bielefeld University in Germany, and I'm a scientific director of the Institute for Interdisciplinary Research on Conflict and Violence. So I like conflict and violence.
Thank you so much for being here as well. Just spontaneously, my name is ι.α.κ.ε. I'm from the University of Applied Science Niederrhein, that is close to Cologne and Düsseldorf in Germany. And we work together in a similar field on radicalization. And I'm very pleased to be here in this session that is on CRETE, in Heraklion, but in a very international session now.
Good morning, I'm Jenny ι.ι.κ.ε. I'm the Secretary of Innovative Programs and at the Institute of Humanities and Social Sciences, and also I am the coordinator of Iake at Big Green Erasmus project that we are glad today to have our multiplier event here in CRETE.
Thank you. Good morning also. I am Louis-Henri Secois. I'm from the University of Hamburg, and I am the director of the Center for Migration Research and Integration Practices there.
Good morning, I'm Corinne. I'm the main coordinator of the project Big Green, an Erasmus project, and I'm a teacher in a high school in south of Paris.
Thank you for coming to this second part of this morning program. After discussing, we have heard two very, I will say, insightful inputs this morning on crisis and loneliness and what does it imply for democracy. So now we are going to focus again on educational themes. And we will hear a talk from Mrs. Anna-Sophia Wallström. She is from Iceland. And I think she will make her presentation digitally, and we will have the honor to see her on the stream now. So,
hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. So I need to share my presentation with you. And I need to be allowed to share my presentation.
The technique, please.
Okay, so now let me see. Now I should be able to share my presentation. But okay, can you now see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, great. So my name is Anna, and I'm a teacher in Iceland. And I'm also the coordinator of the Erasmus Ka2 project, which I presented yesterday. In today's presentation, I will focus on the outdoor education taking place in Iceland during this project, in the preschool participating in the project from Iceland. And in this project, we are emphasizing working with sensory integration, as we consider sensory integration to be a natural way for children to experience, learn, and process their environment, and thus building knowledge. Learning through our senses are not defined by a migrant background or the language you speak, a socioeconomic background, or in the need of special support. learning through our senses is habitual and something that we all have in common. Of course, children have learned through the senses from the beginning of our existence. However, in my 20 years plus of experience as a preschool teacher, I have never realized before the possibilities working with sensory integration purposefully for children to access, explore, and adapt experiences. The aim of the project being to develop an understanding among teachers and working methods on how to explore and develop the different senses to benefit all children and as a means to support inclusion. Therefore, the name of the project, Inclusion Through Sensory Integration. And the senses that we have decided to emphasize during this project are sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch, the vestibular sense or balance, proprioception, it is learning, experiencing where your body parts are situated in a space. Yoga can be an excellent example, but also holding on to a pencil, the grip, or hand and eye coordination. And finally, interoception, how our body tells our brain what is going on inside our body. How do we feel like when we are hungry? What do we feel like when our stomach is full, and etc. So this project was divided into 3 different time periods. During our first time period, we were focusing on inclusion through sensory integration and literacy. During our second time period, we were focusing on inclusion through sensory integration in outdoor education. And during our third time period, we were focusing on inclusion through sensory integration through creativity and a well-organized learning environment. And each time period included learning, teaching, training activities. The activities included job shadowing, the daily work in the preschools, presentations, workshops, study visits, courses or cultural explorations, e-twinning projects concerning certain topics involving the children on a practical level into the project, and learning communities where parents or volunteers are invited to participate, being responsible of different activities depending on the topic of the time periods. Like when we were working on our first time period, we were focusing on experiencing different senses through children's literacy. And we also used the outdoor environment while doing so. And I'm going to show you one short example of working with children's literacy, children's book. This book is called The Colorful Elephant Elmer. And as you can see here, there are pictures from children trying to find the same color of objects that the elephant Elmer, finding different natural resources. They are picking different berries, and like in the book of Elmer, Elmer uses these different berries to paint, making drawings, so they do that as well. But also, of course, tasting and smelling the berries. So if we moving on to the sensory integration in outdoor education, our second time period, well, this time period was probably one of the more challenging time period for some of our participating preschools. In Iceland, we do go outside every day, whatever the weather is like. We can explore our surrounding environment, going to field trips without asking parents for permission every time we leave the premises. That is not the case in all countries. However, nature and outdoor education offer naturally a wide range of sensorial experiences. And considering the importance of sustainability, it is really important that children has the possibility to connect to nature and wanting to care for nature. But I will tell you a little bit how we worked with this second time period in Iceland. We decided to do pedagogical documentations on play in the in our playground, documenting where the play took place, who were playing, what are the children doing, what senses are the children using during their play, and which kind of literacy is taking place, and are the children communicating, what are they saying, and the thoughts of the one documenting. We then sat down discussing these documentations once, twice a month, and try to find how we could improve the sensorial experiences in the playground for the children. And I'm going to give you two examples. Documentation showed the children playing with tires, rolling them down a slope, and the children were asked not to do so due to safety reasons, as the tires could accidentally hit the younger children in the playground. So when we sat down and discussed this, we were thinking, well, they are really missing out on some learning opportunities here. So what other things can we find that are circular and could be used in our playground? And could we possibly bring the tires to a slope outside of the playground? Focusing on literacy, what could we do? Could we increase the number of tires and have them in different sizes? And use the opportunity as teachers to discuss and measure with the children how far the tires will go, depending, for example, on them rolling down a slope or rolling on plain ground. And here you can see examples where we are actually making this become real. So the children here are bringing hula hoops, rings and balls to the slope in the playground, and here you can see them taking the tires to a slope nearby the playground. We also found in documentations that children play with balls in different ways. How can we emphasize their experiences? We can collect balls that will be accessible for the children at all times. The balls and rings can be in different sizes, weights, textures, etc. And also, why do we have all the balls air-filled? There is truly a difference between throwing an airless ball and an air-filled ball into the air or the ground. Considering literacy, as a teacher, we can focus on using different concepts as children are playing with the balls related to shapes, adjectives or opposites, such as big, small, light, heavy, etc. And there are also some songs in Icelandic focusing on the different shapes, and the circular form. And here we can see examples where children are playing with balls of different texture, sizes, heaviness, some of them airless, other bouncing. And of course, we have many, many more examples from these documentations that you can find on the project website. Now, when we are moving on to our third time period, we were exploring inclusion through sensory integration, creativity, and a beautiful, inspiring learning environment. As we started out the third time period in Iceland, we had two new options or changes. We had a teacher that was focusing or always working in the outdoors. So we could open up the outdoor playground at 8 o'clock as the children were meeting in the preschool. We also had two cabins added to our environment, so we could have an inside-outside area space for the children. Of course, so the weather is not always super in Iceland, as you can imagine, so it can also be good for them to be able to go inside and have some shelter. And the teacher, this outdoor teacher has really been very competent using this cabin for creating an inspiring learning environment for the children. And during this third time period, we decided to work with trees as a topic. And that was an excellent choice since it offered a wide range of materials that we could bring into our learning settings. And here we can see some examples of that. And here we have other examples where the children are using different natural resources as they in their creative explorations. And we also had offering the stations different activities. And here we can see one of our teachers, she has a dog, and she invites the children to join her with the dog, where the children can learn to socialize with animals, but also to have these sensorial experiences with animals.
Ms.
And
Wallström, you still have 2 minutes, please.
Okay, yes. And here we have another example, which we have brought with us from different learning and teaching and training activities. And finally, I want also to tell you a little bit about giving an example of a learning community taking place in Iceland in January. And we had 5 different stations where participants, parents and grandparents were being responsible of these different activities, while the children were divided in little groups and experienced these different activities for maybe 10 minutes. So one station was the crow game, where they worked with touch. Here we have another one playing with balls. Here we have the third activity, where a grandmother is reading a book for the children. And here they are watercoloring the snow. And here finally we have the 5th station, where they are skiing, working with balance, proprioception and sight. And that was really something that we brought into the project this winter, which was great. And I would like to end this presentation with a quotation from a teacher participating in the project. The children connect with nature. They are barefoot, they touch with their hand and feet, they lie in the grass, they experience weather change, the twilight, the raging sea, the sounds from the falling rain and from running in puddles. The nature offers plentiful opportunities of sensory integration. Thank you very much.
So thank you. The procedure is like we will have all the presentations, and then after that we will have we will discuss the insight. So now Mrs. Katarina Vestra Fergskola and Maria Fabian Erika Lewis from Sweden. You have the floor, please, for 10 minutes.
Okay, if that's possible, this is Anna Krzyżanowska from Poland speaking. I had the news from our Swedish friends, so they are still undergoing. If that's possible, they just ask me as the next person to be put just before them. So if that's possible for me to speak before Swedish team, that would be marvelous for me.
Okay, thank you. So we will switch to Mrs.
Anna Krzyżanowska.
Yeah, Anna Krzyżanowska from Poland.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, please,
okay.
Please do. Okay, so I will also try to. Can you see my screen then? No, please. Excuse me. Can you see my screen now? The Educate Naturally title. Can you or not really? I just tried to manage that. Excuse me. Can I then use my screen now for that to share the presentation, please? And can you see that? I feel not really comfortable now. Can you confirm that you see my screen, please?
Yes, we can see your screen, Anna.
Okay, thank you, because no one was telling me back, so thank you for doing Anna Sophia. Okay, let me say something before I will start my part. sometimes maybe I'm really happy that I saw your file before, Anna Sofia. Sometimes for people, especially just like our guest said, people talk about really serious things like a peace, like a conflict things. And we as preschool teachers speak about little simple things, but this issue only seems to be of little importance for us. So I think that I will just give a brief summary of what we think about education, both on the preschool level, but in an education generally. I just wanted to say who is sharing the thing. As I'm a preschool teacher from 21 years and also educator on early childhood education and care level, I'm also the therapist of children with special education needs, connected that with the hortitherapy, so that's the therapy with the plants. I work a lot for eTwinning and for Erasmus Plus, but I do not have a special superpower. I'm just a human being trying to find my influence in this world, like I think everyone here. And what I wanted to say is that that's a kind of motto that I still have before my eyes, and I strongly believe, and that's my power. If that comes from Mulrtiplier, if we help children to love nature, that they will take care of it because everyone cares about what he loves. That's a kind of sentence that I think that it would be really hard for me not to follow. Something wrong is coming with my... Okay, why is that so much important? We search, everyone, like on any level, preschool and primary education, we try to find some kind of effective education. I strongly believe, and after some time that I really, really believe that in the 21st century, we need to follow that digital era. And I still believe in that. But I also discovered that there is no really knowledge and no discovery and no learning the word, especially for those youngsters, if it's not given by the direct contact with the natural world. So that's the part of the process, which is both provided for in our in-core curriculum on the very first level, but also very important with non-directive free play. So the question which I want to say here is the thing that Anna was talking about and the kind of, all that nature and outdoor thing. Is this a necessity nowadays or a waste of time? Especially when we are in the era of artificial intelligence, everything that affects our lives and education nowadays. So it's going to be the revision, and I write an article about that for the conference book, about the optimal learning path, about the relationship between man and nature, challenges of the global situation, some priorities and possibilities, that gift of bonding which we have in the troubled era, and the childhood makeover, those digital forms of play, situation of children nowadays and our expectations for their future. About the relationship between man and nature, it's still at our fingertips. I think that we underestimate it. We don't treat it really seriously in the way. But it's so much needed both for adults and for those children as the water, as a hug when they go to bed, as the air that we breathe. And of course, we speak about more serious global issues. Millions of people are thinking about that. That's called by, I think, a lot of people, like 3 Cs. We talk about COVID, climate, and conflict. And these are those more serious things that even teachers on the preschool level try to work with. But we also try to keep with those challenges of time and those consequences of policymakers in our smaller and wider projects, a bigger one, just like Anna Sofia said, according to the sentence, think globally and act locally. We work on 5 R's for the reduce, for example, rubbish, but whatever children will do, like cleaning the environment, segregating rubbish, it's still nothing when they do not have the relationship between man and nature. That's something what I believe. So the gift of bonding, that's what the Kimmerer said in her book. The people, even if people think that that the best thing what they can do for nature is to stay away, there is something totally different, actually. We need to be inside, and we need to show love and care by not but separating ourselves from what we love, but we need to put that bond to children. Who is that responsible for that, and who can do that? That is the question. Can this love to nature be educated? Are we teachers, the facilitators, or parents? Kimmerer says about grammar of animacy, and that's something really, a sentence that should be put into the notice and to revision. She sees the nature not as a resource, but a kind of relative, because then you can have the relationship with the rest of the world, treated as a gift. If you have the good relationship with the world, it will also build your own relationship with the people and with yourself. So this learning the word, and Sophia was saying about sensory things, and that is the question. We still value that academic style of teaching. These are those educational perspectives. But those educational moments have to be supplemented with nature-based sensory content, not only on the very early stage. We have some guidelines of our curriculum. We have our autonomy as for teachers and some ideas from the government. But it's wherever the word is, the needs of children are totally the same. And we teachers should also think about the fact that our work will be effective only when we will have that bond with the nature, actually, because we will lead our students to develop them with enthusiasm towards nature when this issue is coming into account. And only when this approach of us is going to be genuine, it will also convince their parents, which are mostly the weakest part. So learning the word is not only for literacy, mathematics, art, perception, and motorics. You can put that nature into manipulating real objects for many other, I would say, competences and skills, which are important, whatever the center is, like cooperation, concentration, problem solving, awareness of movement, empathy, sensitivity to the beauty of nature. These are just few pictures here for that to see that we can count, we can compare, we can work, whatever the digital collaboration is. Because we need some unforgettable emotional moments with for those children. This is Isabella. This is something what she did inside of the forest within her free play. I didn't ask her to do that. Maybe I would be even a little bit afraid of doing that for myself, but she did it for herself on her wish. And that's for me a kind of sign that she cared, that she really appreciates that. She desired to be there, so she did that. And as you can see, she really enjoyed. So they won't remember any books or our notebook cards on exercises when they need to count, for example, ladybug's dots on the paper. They will remember something like this, and that's for the bond with nature. There is a lot of statement about the intergeneration. There is a beautiful movie, and I advise you to look at that. It's called Let Nature Back into Your Home video. It is said that actually we spend 90% of the time indoors, and we set that into the new generation. But we still need those green and the air. There is still the correlation between the well-being of man and the time in nature. We have it inside of our genes. So, that is something that we need to think about.
Anna, you still have 2 minutes, please.
Yeah, I know that. Thank you so much for having that time still. For research to how to know methodology, I would like to say that you said about the war there. I would say about word about the fact that the more I teach, the more I would say experience I gain as a teacher. I feel that the less I teach my students, the better they develop generally. So that's good to have the place for them to grow. It's also great to let them grow to be together in a kind of collaborative perspective within Erasmus, within e-twinning, as a kind of peace lesson. That's obvious thing. In my article, I also said about the model of the childhood. Sometimes we are really fear about what it's going to be with the digital thing. So there is a great author of the book, Jordan Shapiro, and that's something that I really recommend to read about the perspective of play in the previous centuries and now, because what times there is a play. The kind of play. Shapiro relieves parents from the technophobic fear and also teachers. I'm just maybe a little bit behind because there are many digital skills that will help them grow. So there is a topic of the nature deficit disorder. Richard Louv, who wrote the Bible about outdoor education, says that straight away. The more high-tech we become, the more nature we need. So we strongly need to have this balance for having the digital and the natural background. In the book, I have examples of outdoor activities collected in the study, so I invite you to learn that when it's going to be ready. It's also a nice literature, so if you share that presentation, you will have them for sure. So that's also the video that I was talking about, and some literature mentioned. And conclusions, which I would like to say, is also the Rachel Carson thing, who says that without the companionship of at least one adult who can share the love to nature, all the trials are mess. So the children really need that. And when I was thinking about my own impact, I just decided to be that accompanying adult. This is my gift to the earth in a way, the thing that I believe and I want to do. And the second thing is like Luther Burbank, he said that any child who has been deprived of all these strawberries, acorns, trees to climb, water lilies, it has been deprived from the best part of education. So if I forget it, that's my conclusion for a start. If it's missing in my own classroom, whoever is close to me, tell me that I have to quit this job and do this as well immediately. That's my mission. I also have, of course, question and answers, but if you need anything from me, you will have for sure my email address. So I'm inviting anyone for that to contact with me just in need. Thank you so far for listening to me, and I'm eager to listen to other participants. Thank you.
Thank you also, Anna. I hope you stay online for the discussion.
Yeah. I will try to do my best.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if our colleague Maria Fabienne Erika Lewis is online now. Is she ready?
From Sweden.
From Sweden.
Can you hear me? Maria Fabian here.
Yes, we can, Maria.
Pardon?
Okay, Erica is on her way. The thing we got a misunderstanding with the time.
Okay,
so we are not actually ready yet. We need actually another 10 minutes.
Okay.
Either that or I will start.
It's fine. It's fine. We give you the 10 minutes.
Okay?
So
okay, great.
we will.
The thing is, can you present? Can you upload our presentation and we will talk and speak to you through our mobile phone? Is that possible?
So the technique now, is it possible?
We've sent our material to Jenny, so if you could, she promised to download our material, so you could send it from Greece, and then we could.
Okay.
Be online.
Okay.
Is that possible?
So we will jump to Corinne. And so Corinne, you have 10 minutes to give your input. You have the floor, please.
So thank you. As the main coordinator, I will present you our project, Be Green. My school is in south of Paris. It's about 25 kilometers. And it doesn't work. Yes, no. No. Okay. So in order to understand how Be Green is and what we are doing, and what we were doing during the last year, I will split different parts. The presentation of our project, the partners, the objectives, of course, and the result. No. That way, okay. So we start to work
with this project in November 2021, and the end of the project is in November 2023. It's a collaboration between different schools in Europe from different parts, of course, of Europe, and our central topic is European Green Deal. Why this topic? Because by 2050, Europe aims to become the world's first climate neutral continent. So now, our partners. We are 5 high schools, one from Bulgaria in Sofia, one from France, one from Iceland, ι.α.κ.ε, one from Italy, Bitonto, in south of Italy, and the other one is a high school in Istanbul. And of course, we need another partner. We will understand why. It's the Institute of Humanities and Social Science of Heraklion. During this project, we have to realize different exchanges, and these exchanges are related with different topics. We start last year in Heraklion with training course for teachers. That means that different teachers from our different schools come here in Heraklion, and we work about promotion of ecosystem services and sustainable agriculture. It was a great week. We learned a lot of things. And we continue our different exchanges. And the next one was in Istanbul about eliminating pollution and biodiversity. We continued in France in February with sustainable mobility and building renovating. In March this year in Italy, from farm to fork to and clean energy. In September, the next exchange will be in Iceland about climate action and sustainable agriculture. And the last one will be in Sofia about climate action and sustainable industry. So during these different exchanges, the high school come with 3 students at least, and with 2 teachers, and there were different activities about the main topic. Here you have an example of what we made. We plant. On the left, you have the green garden in Istanbul. When we came in Sofia for a meeting, so I forgot to speak about meetings. Of course, to manage efficiently the project, we need to have meetings only with teachers. And of course, we have a lot of food. So, with all this work with students and teachers, we have different goals. And the main goal is to use new technologies, to make students think, of course, about the environment and sustainability, and climate change and global warming. And during these 2 years, we create a collection of different lessons related with these topics. And at the end, we will have this lesson in 6 different European languages. And of course in English, because it's the language of the partnership. And
we have to promote the project through a website, an Instagram page, and of course on the Erasmus Plus platform. So here you have the different topics about these lessons, now climate action, eliminating pollution, etc., etc. And I will give you an example about the topic that we work now. It's the topic number 6. And for example, this topic is about clean energy. And during, when we work about a topic, we split the topic in little topics. And each country have a lesson to do. 2 minutes, okay. So I will explain, we will see. If you want some example, we have you have the promotion of our project. The promotion of our project is made by the Institute of Humanities and Social Science. The Institute collects all the lessons and he put them on the website. So at the end of the project, you can see all the work done till now. And you can also visit our Instagram page. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Corinne, for keeping strictly the time. I think we will go forward with another project from Turkey. It's Mustafa Tunç. Please, you have the floor.
Now we need the presentation of Turkey, please. I think it's number 6, 7, Mustafa.
Yeah, number 6.
Number 6, please.
How we will know when Sweden is ready?
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Mustafa from Istanbul, Turkey. And I work as a high school teacher, pedagogical advisor. And we are a partner of Big Green project. So I will tell you about international mobilities under Erasmus+. The case of our meeting, our mobility in Istanbul, I will give you some details. So what we learned from it. The general information is given by our main coordinator already, but just I can repeat. It's like 25 months of project and 5 schools, 259,000 euro, and an institute. Goes like this, and based on European Green Deal, agriculture, architecture, clean energy, it covers many topics. That's my school, the Adile Mermerci Anatolian High School. It's from the media. And in October 2022, we hosted our partners, 14 students and 8 teachers, and 3 institute members from Greece. What we do differently, I will try to talk about it. As you see, we want to prepare a comprehensive program. A program can connect students so they can work together, they can inspire each other. That was our aim, and they can learn some new things, new approaches. That was our aim. Our students prepared a play called Be Green, an exhibition you don't see exhibition in here. That this one from the coral reefs and about protecting the sea. We actually had two main topics to work in Turkey: eliminating pollution and biodiversity. And this is our team. First we had to choose a team because if you work with interested teachers, interested personnels, I mean, all the projects under Erasmus Plus looks similar, but I'm a pedagogical advisor, and then I'm not an expert on environment. But in my team, at my school, I have some teachers, and I asked their help. So to increase the quality of activities, and they wrote a play about environment. When the play performed was written by our teachers. Some of them has PhD on environment, geography, and biology. So it's good to build a sufficient team first, then to work together. Team creating is important. And the academic approach is important. So on the left, you see a professor from Istanbul Technical University, Özlem Karahan Özgün. She made a presentation at our school for many students, not just guests, many students in our schools too, because in our school, when we made some activities with guest students and teachers, we don't want to neglect our own students. We want so many students to hear about projects, to join project activities. It's hard to work with a large group, but it increases quality. And then on the right side, you see Dr. Safa Balekolu. We visited him in University of Istanbul. He told us about forestation, how we build a forest. And with some seeds, some examples, he showed us about the forestation. That was something new for us. Yeah. Support from local authorities. We also asked help from our municipality. They are really interested in environmental projects and agriculture and urbanism. We asked help in two different places. On top photo, you see Dr. Biolog Tuğçe Sevencan. I think it will come. I don't know. Is it technical problem? Yeah. Okay. She made a presentation about medicinal plants garden. They have a garden, and so we learned how to use them. And on the right photo, you see it's a photo from recycling center. It's a small place, but they try many things like rain harvesting. They have a garden on the roof. For recycling, the fertilizing process, they use many new technologies, so inspire and teach other foundations how to work to stop polluting environment. Another thing I want to say about Erasmus Plus projects, it's important to not be lost on sightseeing, focusing on project activities. So many students, for many students and teachers, it was the first time in Istanbul. Of course, they want to see the beauties of Istanbul. They want to go Bosphorus and other things and historical areas. So you have to keep a balance. You have to use your time efficiently during Erasmus Plus mobilities. Otherwise, you can lost in sightseeing. So what we do is to keep the quality. We made a Bosphorus tour, yes, but we worked with an expert on plant, fish, and bird species living in Bosphorus region. So in this way, it was better for us. Yeah, you can see Bosphorus, and you can also learn about because biodiversity was our subject, and when we search about it, I learned that the number of plants living in Istanbul, it's a really huge number. It's I think higher than all the plants living in UK land, all the Poland. It's a very small land, but it has thousands of years of being a capital city, Roman, Byzantium, and Ottoman. So every king, if he interested with a different type of food, fruit, they bring Istanbul and try in Istanbul. So you have whatever. You plant. You have plenty of plants. So that's what brings you biodiversity. So now we have to, of course, keep this. Yeah, thank you. Now we made a small garden. On the right side, you see fruit. We plant them on October, and then they grown up. You see, they are big to eat, and then. So if students had chance to work together, to work with the soil and do real things, that was important because each time we traveled later, students asked me, tell us about garden, are they growing, are they died, or etc., etc. So, and then I made the food from the cauliflowers, and then I ate it. So an example to show everyone. In conclusion, in order for the mobility within the scope of Erasmus+, to have a lasting impact on students and make projects stronger, it will be meaningful to establish the project team correctly, cooperate with academic institutions such as universities and local authorities such as municipalities, and include artistic and interdisciplinary activities, and carry out applied activities, doing real things with students. So thank you very much for listening to me. That's all from me.
We are going to continue with, I think those are still partners in Erasmus project. And now we will hear a talk from Maria Magdalena.
Do you remember your number?
No.
It's from Italy, the presentation from Italy, please. From Puglia.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Maddalena Bellocchio. I teach science in ITES Vitale Giordano in Bitonto. It's an honor to be here with you to represent my school, a school community of more than 700 students, school staff, and teachers. I would like to explain the meaning of the title of this speech. We love Apulia, our region, and we would like our young students to love it as much as we do. But they often know nothing more than the place where they live, their neighborhoods and the football pitch or the center streets where they spend their days. Our students are often far from the natural environment. They live in the city, and when they see a farm animal, a chicken, a sheep, it seems to be an event. Thus, even talking about sustainability does not deeply affect their lives and beliefs. When we talk about biodiversity and the environmental situation, it can seem an abstraction to young people. The teacher's job confronts us with situations like this. We change more and more as the years go by. We have to find, It's not my computer. Yes, thank you, Jenny. Please help me. Non riesco a... Okay. Which one? We'll now look at some activities we did in our school, through which we try to combine knowledge, passion, and love for our land and nature. In this picture, you see one of the places we visited with a group of students. We are in the Alta Murgia Park at the Garagnone, a hill overlooking the Via Appia Antica. On the hilltop, there is, perfectly integrated among the rocks, the ruin of a castle rebuilt by Emperor Frederick II of Swabia, poor Apulie, who loved our land as we do today. Here in the map, you see Bitonto. Bitonto is in Apulia, a typically Mediterranean region located in southern Italy. The pin indicates the city's position in the region. This is the entrance to our school that our partners well know. At ITES Vitale Giordano, we have always worked with students on sustainability in all disciplines. I will now briefly describe some examples of educational projects, some of which were carried out for the Erasmus BIM project. First example is our greenhouse. We carry out numerous cultivation, experimentation, and research activities in our greenhouse. Many classes in the first 2 years participate in this project. During these months, the students carried out all the cultivation practices. All crops are organic. No chemical fertilizer are used. They are now harvesting vegetables, which are bought by the teachers and the students' families. This allows us to self-finance future work. Students in this class, at the end of the experience, created an e-book that is a digital herbarium. You can also see the logo, big green logo, because this activity is in the project. The crops are positioned at a certain height. The greenhouse was built so that our students with special needs and students in wheelchairs can work without difficulty, supervised by their specialist teachers. Second examples, Parco dell'Alta Murgia project B-School. The Alta Murgia National Park is one of the largest and most fascinating parks in Italy. It's a natural area established in 2004, comprising 13 municipalities, one of which is Bitonto. It is a rural park, including the human activities that are typical of the area: farming and livestock breeding, and the processing of their products. Although the landscape has been altered over the centuries by man, the park has an incredible variety of flora and fauna, and a rich anthropological heritage consisting of masserie, our typical farms, iazzi, animal farms, and its most important witness, Castel del Monte, built by Emperor Frederick II of Swabia. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The Park Authority has started the procedure to become a geopark. Jenny, we still remember when we went to Psiloritis last year. Now we are trying to have the same thing in Puglia. For this, the Park Authority organized educational activities for schools in which ITES participated. In this photo, in addition to the iconic octagonal castle, we see colleagues from Big Green who were welcomed to Puglia 2 months ago for our project. This is the activity that the park organized. 80 students from our school participated in Bee School, a project that took place at a bee farm within the park. Thanks to park guides, students understood the importance of bees in maintaining biodiversity by participating in laboratory activities. This is the third example, discovering renewable energy. This year we invested our expectations in this important project for a first class formed by 20 students. 6 teachers, 3 experts were involved, and 20 hours were used for classroom activity and educational visits. We had workshops on renewable energy with interactive mode, a visit to a nearly zero energy building, a visit to a company that produces geothermal energy, a visit to the Water Museum in Bari, and readings from a book on renewable energy with the author. And now we have something special. Now is our robot, one of our robots. Now is a small humanoid robot designed to interact with people, is packed with sensors, and it can walk, speak, dance, recognize faces and objects. Now is 6th generation, is useful for research, education, and healthcare all over the world. Now Challenge, we participated 2 months ago in National Now Challenge. This is a competition dedicated to secondary schools with the goal of improving students' knowledge in the world of humanoid robotics. The theme identified for this year's competition was sustainability, considering 6 of the 17 goals of the 2030 agenda. Students programmed the robot now with the role of guide and communicator in the project educational activities. One of the activities planned for now was to have him lead the students in biomonitoring lichens on tree trunks and evaluate the data collected by the students. Now was also used to estimate the amount of carbon dioxide in the class. Now in this picture we see an olive tree, one of the symbols that best represent our city community. Bitonto is referred as the city of the olive tree. The oil that is obtained from our trees has been famous for centuries, for its quality and the production techniques that today are increasingly environment friendly. In Apulia there are olive trees thousands of years old that still produce the extra virgin olive oil. In the photo, we see some 1,000-year olive trees of Salento. It's estimated that all in Apulia, there are 60 million olive trees, 1 for every Italian citizen. In Apulia, in recent years, sustainable olive oil production is increasing. This means preventing the depletion of natural resources, the increase of environmental pollution, the loss of the healthiness of the product, preserving soil, water resources, biodiversity, and landscape. Our school, this is the 4th examples for Be Green. Our school organizes visits to the many oil mills in Bitonto during the oil production period to make our students aware of this biological and economic reality that has characterized our history for centuries. This is a famous, during the BIM project Mobility Week in Bitonto, students and teachers participated in a workshop on the quality of typical Apulian products, and the workshop was led by a famous chef who is an expert in food sustainability. I think that you will remember. And now let's talk about lame. What are lame? In the map you can see another characteristic of our territory, le lame. From 2 to 5 million years ago, all land of the Bari area was crossed by streams that, going down from the Morgia Hills, flew into the Adriatic Sea. The number 1 is Lama Balice, which is our lama, that cross Bitonto city. As time passed, those streams disappeared, but their beds remain today, almost completely dried, like karst grooves covered with soil and sand, with a flat bottom and not very deep, known as lame. Today in Bari there are 9 lame. The first one, the northeast one, is the one that crosses Bitonto. This is the first example about lame, hiking in nature. Every year, the school organizes trekking routes to introduce our young people to the rich biodiversity of the Lama Balice. In the Lama, there are traces of the first settlement in Bitonto area from the Neolithic period inside the karstic caves. After heavy rains, the Tiflis stream reappears at the bottom of the Lama. And now, last one, Okay, last one examples about sustainability. Summer school at World Wildlife Fund in Policoro, Matera. Here we see a second class at WWF in Policoro, Matera, where our students came in close contact with the nature of a unique place. The WWF oasis in Policoro is frequented by scholars from all over the world to learn about the biodiversity of its river and marine ecosystem. The students saw turtles injured by hooks and almost suffocated by plastic bags, rescued and treated by volunteers. They spent full days surrounded by the beauty of the wilderness. They saw the nests where turtles laid their eggs and learned how to identify them on the beaches. They examined the samples of river water under a microscope to assess its quality. Finally, they canoed on the sea. On the last day, the class was a guest of the CRETE Center in Taranto, a city, which studies cetaceans, and then all day in the open sea looking for dolphins. At last, I conclude my speech with the words of a great Italian woman, Maria Montessori, who was a doctor, educator, pedagogue. Surely there are schools also in your countries that use the Montessori method. I read, no description, no picture in a book can replace the real vision of trees in a forest, with all the life that takes place around them. Something emanates from these trees that speaks to the spirit, something that no book, no museum can even render. When we see a forest, we realize that there are not just trees, but a whole range of life. It is something we have to go and discover, and that no one can bring to school. Thank you for your attention.
Yeah, thank you very much, Maria, for this rich input, and you have a really impressive outcome in your project, so it's wonderful. Now we will continue with Helena, which will talk about the environmental education in Iceland. So you have the floor, please.
I think that number 9 now.
Seven, I think.
7?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Hi. No, this is not me. This
no,
is Bulgaria.
not this.
So it's either 7 or 9.
It's 9, I think.
9. Yeah, that's it. That's me. Right. Okay. Okay. Do I have 10 minutes? Yes, but I'm sorry because I thought I had 15 minutes. I'm going to try to speak very, very fast. I'm Helena from Iceland. I'm a teacher at a secondary school and also an environmental representative. And I'm going to give you a very superficial, very brief summary of environmental education in Iceland. Can you hear me? Yeah, all right. So, first, I'm going to talk about the importance of environmental education, about the different school levels, about eco schools, and the geothermal program of the UN. So, first, why? Sorry, nothing happens here. Yeah, that's it. Okay. First, why do we think that environmental education is needed? Why is it important? Well, we think it, literally, we think that it makes the students more better prepared for saving the planet. To put it mildly, we think they will learn some skills. They will acquire knowledge, and they will become more responsible in the very many environmental issues we have today with the global warming and everything. And we think that in Iceland, in particular, environmental education is really important because of some of the issues we have in our country. Very different from what Magdalena was describing before. We do not have any trees. We have a very barren country without forest and without trees. And in the beginning, actually, when the first settlers came to Iceland, They say that the whole of the country was overgrown with trees and bushes and forests. But of course they had to cut down the trees, they had to have somewhere to live, they had to build houses, and they had to have some meadows for the cattle and for the sheep to graze on. So now we have a very barren country with only about, I don't know how many, 20% of it with some overgrowth. More than half of the vegetation in Iceland from the settlement has been destroyed, not only by people, but we also have volcanic eruptions, we have avalanches, we have all sorts of natural disasters as well. So, I'm going to speak really, really fast. Okay, yeah. And thank you. And we're trying to put some of this back. And in 2011, we adopted a new curriculum, national curriculum for all school levels, for preschools, for primary schools, and secondary schools. And in this curriculum, sustainability was one of the basic aspects. That means that we had to start in the beginning with emphasis on sustainability. And all teachers in those schools, preschools, primary schools, and secondary schools, they are required to make sustainability a part of the lesson plans. And this has been in use since 2011. Of course, we have some other basic aspects like democracy, health and welfare, and creativity as well. So we have heard something about preschools, both in Iceland and other countries, and we saw that from the Icelandic preschool teacher who was speaking earlier. She was talking about outdoor education. And of course, kids in preschools, they do not have any textbooks or anything. They learn from the nature, and as she explained very well today. Some preschools, they even have their own compost, which the kids, they learn to take care of from a very early age. And you can see in this picture there, the kids are really impressed with the compost that they have actually made themselves. And you will see an excellent preschool. Those of you who will come to Iceland, you will see a very good example of that in one of the preschools in our neighborhood in Akranes. And of course, in preschools, there is emphasis on recycling and to reduce waste, actually to reuse and recycle everything. And I think it's very important to start early on those, to try and build those ideas in. This is preschools, and in primary schools, we continue with this. We continue with the same sort of education, with the outdoor education. Of course, they have textbooks, and they learn about environmental topics as well in their textbooks, in natural sciences. But also, all the time, outdoor education is becoming more popular. And I think that's quite a challenge in Iceland, where the weather is sometimes really awful, but they just have to dress properly and go outside. So, also in primary schools, the students, particularly if they are eco schools, which I will talk a bit more about later, the students, they are a part of the decision making about all environmental topics. And they are also, of course, taught to reduce waste and to recycle. And now to my own school. In my own school, I teach at a secondary school, and in many of those schools, we have an obligatory course in environmental studies. That's in my school, not in all of them, but in my school, they all take at least one course, and then that's an option if they take more courses in environmental studies. Students in secondary schools as well, they take part in the decision-making about environmental issues, and many schools, like our school, for instance, they take an active part in several national and international projects like saving energy, saving water, plugging, etc. And in this picture here, you can see earlier this spring, our students trying to clean up the environment by plugging. It's an area very close to the school, camping area, as you can see. So, and other things that we have done in our school as well, this is planting trees. Like I told you before, almost all of the trees in Iceland, not all of them, but half of them, have been cut down, they've been lost. And now we graduate students twice a year, because we graduate in May and in December, and our graduate students, they plant trees. They have to plant trees before the graduation. and it can be quite tricky sometimes when it's the frost in the earth and cold outside. But this is what we have been doing for a few years, and we do this in collaboration with the local forestry society. Some other things that we have done in our school, and all of these are from the environmental committee in the school. It's the kids in the schools. They made these suggestions. We have had some markets, some second-hand markets for clothes and some things that you want to get rid of, and somebody else maybe wants to use. We have bookshelves around the schools with books that you have read, and you can place them there, and you can take books that you like. And then next autumn, actually, next term, and I'm pretty excited about this. This is the first time we're doing this. We are going to have second-hand market in the school for school books. So what you can do, you can take the books from last term and maybe get a little money for them, and then buy used books from other students. And I hope this will go really well. And we have recycling bins all over the schools. Also, originally, a suggestion of this committee, this environmental committee in the school, which teachers and students are part of. And then we encourage everybody to cycle to school or walk to school rather than driving. Even if you're driving an electric car, it's also always better for the health and for the environment to walk or cycle. So now a few words about eco schools, very quickly. I'm sure that many of you are familiar with this term. This is the largest environmental project in the world, really. And it's run by the Foundation for Environmental Education, FEE. And they support environmental studies in all school levels. And in Iceland, these schools are run by Landvernd, it's called, the Icelandic Environment Association. And it's the largest service provider for environmental education in Iceland. And you can see in this picture here, we have all these eco schools around the country. There are over 200 schools in Iceland. I can't remember how many schools there are altogether in Iceland, but they are preschools, primary schools, secondary schools, and even 2 universities there. You can see the universities, they are the yellow ones, only 2 of those.
Elena, I'm sorry, but we just have
Yes.
1 minute again.
1 minute, okay?
Yes,
very
please.
quickly, just about the UN geothermal program, because we are really proud of this, actually. This is the Geothermal University, we call the UN Geothermal University. It was established over 40 years ago. And we have students, young scientists from developing countries that have the potential for geothermal energy. And they come to Iceland and they learn how to make use of it. As you might know, some of you, that over 90% of our houses in Iceland, they are heated with this geothermal energy. So today the school, over 700 students from these countries, they have graduated from this school. And today we run it with the National Energy Agency. I'm not going to show you the video, but not this. Just finally, we think that environmental education in Iceland, it has really led to some increased understanding and awareness of environmental issues. And we think that if we all work together, like we see with the Eco School, which is a non-government organizations, and with the partnership with the towns and everything, other companies, it works best if we all work together for the preservation of a planet. We are all working together to the same goal anyway. So we can make a difference, all of us, if we create a sustainable future for all. So be green. So thank you.
Thank you a lot, Elena. I think we will switch, we will go online again because our colleagues of Sweden are now ready. So you have the floor, please, for 10 minutes.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
We're going to open our file that we would like to share with you. We also thought that we had 15 minutes instead of 10, so bear with us. We have a movie that we would like to share with you.
Yeah, but we can't actually go for 15 minutes, just for 10.
Really? Oh,
10.
Thank you.
10 minutes, please. Don't be happy too quick. It's just we are going for 10 minutes because there are a lot of presentations.
Okay.
So I'm sorry for that. Yes, try to be short.
Yeah,
Okay.
but you will see as much of our movie as you please then.
Okay, so you have the floor.
I pressed share. What do I do now? Can you see the presentation now?
We are seeing you, but not the presentation.
Okay, so we am doing something wrong then. We pressed share. We're pressing share.
Nu ska du välja den där. Vänster.
Hela skärmen.
Nu. Det är den. Och det. Bear with us.
Are we on now?
Yeah, but yes, it's getting better.
Yes. Can you see our presentation?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, it's fine now. It's okay.
Okay, thank you.
So we can go.
Yes. Okay, we can start then.
Please
We
go
start.
on.
Yes.
Okay. So this will be an extract from an online workshop that we held on the 1st of April in 22. So today we will simply do a short briefing of it with pictures and a short film. And my name is Erica and I work as a teacher.
My name is Maria Fabian and I work as an atelierista.
We both work in a Reggio Emilia-inspired preschool in the central Stockholm, Sweden.
So since we have a lack of time, I think we would forward this slide. I think this perhaps is the same that you spoke about, Anna from Iceland, about the project and so on, and why we think it's very important to work with this, the non-verbal languages as in sensory integration and all our senses. Okay. In our work with the music piece From a New World by Dvorak, a common activity within the eTwinning project, we set out on a journey where our bodies interacted with large paper sheets, exploring music, sound, touch, vision, and movement with 2 to 3-year-old children.
And in another setting, with our eldest, the 5 to 6-year-olds, we found ourselves involved with exploring and understanding the herb basil, as well as developing our literacy skills.
This is a quote from the Italian Italianista from her book Art and Creativity that we can recommend, but we'll skip it today. So this is a few pictures. You can see how we started out. We started with white paper and then we added paint. And instead of throwing away the paper, we will think about recycling it in a creative way. We teared it to pieces, we clipped it, and then we added the dance so the children could dance and move around with the papers. And finally, we hang them up from the roof.
Sorry, we're going to have to change our display mode because you can only see the first page still. Is that correct? Okay, so we're going to try to change it for you. Stop sharing. And then go back to the page. We're going to try to fix it. We're going to try to fix it so that yes, exactly. And then we want to share the presentation.
Erika and Maria, I used share screen, so I shared my whole screen.
Okay, that was the problem. Let's see if we can fix it.
We're trying to sort it out. Window, full screen. It doesn't want to share the whole screen.
So you I'm sorry, but you actually still have 5 minutes.
Yeah, we're sorry.
If not, we won't get okay with the schedule. There are many presentations still coming. Yeah.
We'll try to just share this again.
Is it still just the first picture?
No, this is not the first picture. But I don't know how it turns out when you move on.
No, neither do we.
Is there a black picture now?
Yes.
What are you
Yes,
seeing?
a black picture.
Yes.
Okay, we'll start the film, and then you could stop the film whenever you feel. It's loading. The film is loading now. We are so sorry about these technical issues that we are having.
They are really stressed now.
Den håller på att starta.
So I have actually a suggestion. I think maybe given the technical difficulties you are having, it's a pity that, but it happens. Maybe we just skip to the next presentation. Are you okay with it like that? Because now I think you are on stress, and we will get the time to have an insight of what you wanted to present it.
Yes, you're not watching the film now, are you? Can you see the film?
No, we can't see. We are not seeing nothing. We just have the blackboard there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll need to skip it then.
Yeah.
Can I ask, will we have the presentation available later on the conference page or something? I'm really interested in that to see. So maybe that would be the waste of time and intellectual input if we would skip it generally. So, yeah. Is that then possible to have it somewhere, please?
For us, it's possible, yes.
Yeah, you can upload it and put it on the website. Absolutely, that's okay by us.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So, yeah, that happens. It's the problem of digital. Yes. It happens. So I think we will continue now. We'll go forward with Bellocchio and Camela. No.
STEM in Bulgarian schools. This one.
Okay, with Eleni.
With Petya.
Yeah, Eleni and...
No, this one.
Which one?
This. This one.
Okay.
This one.
Okay, yeah. So, we are continuing now with the Bulgarian presentation. Please, you have the floor. We are all a bit confused here now.
It's number 5.
No, it's not number 5. Okay, I will talk about STEM education in Bulgarian schools, and it's a cooperative work between me, I'm Petya Mincheva, and I'm geography teacher, and my headmaster, Mr. Dian Stamatov. He's not here to present his work, but I try to explain his presentation now. Of course, environmental education is important, and in our school we are trying to do everything and to implement by interesting way in this time of education in our programs and during our lessons in our classes. And that's the reason to participate in this project named Big Green because, as you understand before, the idea is to use environmental topics and to put them in and present them in different ways during the lessons. And nowadays, everywhere you turn, STEM mania is set in. Most of us are familiar with the acronym, but there are many questions. Why STEM is very important? Is it for all students or only for those students with specific needs? Can we improve the teaching using this kind of education? And many, many more questions. Probably the first given answer is from Joan Vasquez, and he answered the question with this sentence: STEM education isn't just one thing, it's a range of strategies that help students apply concepts and skills from different disciplines to solve meaningful problems. And we know that the concept was introduced earlier in 1990s, and not only with project-based learning or problem-based learning. The STEM learning has one thing in common. It gives students many, many opportunities to apply the skills they have from different subjects like science, technology, engineering, maths, and so on and so on. And they not only learn nor implement all of the skills that they learn during the lessons. And many times our students ask, why do we have to learn this? And STEM provides the answer. And because of collection and of applying of skills from many different subjects, STEM change from multidisciplinary to interdisciplinary education. You can put every one topic in different angle and to use in every one lesson if you want to do this, of course, because it needs very, very long time for preparation if you want to do this type of lesson, of course. And we have our help from our government, because it started the program. The government and Ministry of Education start implementation of the national program. The name of this program is Building a School STEM Environment. And its primary focus is to create new school centers. These centers will integrate and there is something happened here. They will integrate set of equipments, yes, and learning spaces with a focus on a different type of study and application of competences in the field of natural sciences. It's the main focus of this program. And the other reason that we are in this program, not only program from the government, but the Pre-Green project is shown there. It's a simple graphic because in Bulgaria we have problem with increasing the quality of education and of primary and secondary classes. There is a kind of some statistic. We are under the achievement in basic skills, as measured by PISA, is twice as high as the European average. Our skills is 47%, and in reading 44%, in mathematics, and 47% down in sciences. The other reason, and that is important, no, not this one, the other one graphic, it's not here, but it's not a problem, is the number of graduates. Most of students, they finish their education with disciplines like administration. 24% of students, they finish with administration, business or public administration, 14% in education, social and behavior sciences about 10%, and engineering only 9%. And that means that in the future we will have a big gap in these disciplines, and we'll have problem in a labor market. No specialist that will fill that gap. And what we do in our school? We have many activities. Yes, that's one. And participation and in national and European projects and programs. From 2021, we have started a model that helps promotion of different models of learning. The name of this project is one-to-one computer. One-to-one means one computer for every one student and for every one teacher. We have a project like online, offline activities. We try to combine online learning with offline learning. We work on STEM and education for tomorrow and many, many more. And now we have a project that links with STEM education and STEAM education. What's the difference between STEAM and STEM education? It's the letter A, and we try to put all of this like art, culture, language in this project activities that we do now with Big Green partners, because every one lesson contain not only science, not only technology, not only engineering and mathematics. At the end, we want to have a final product, something that the kids made during the lessons or as a homework, and then present in front of the classes and the students. And as you can see, there is a picture of in a classroom where the students do project-based learning and STEM lesson. The topic is the environmental education. Thank you, you helped me. And the next slide, we have some of the final results of our topics, our lessons that we have. It's about green energy. One students try to promote and to make photovoltaic small central. We have a new kind of building with using that use wind energy. We have data comparing. We have it was very interesting lesson in chemics where the students try to find different nutrients in the different foods, and they made experiments, and at the end they give us a result how eco is the food that we eat. And that's all. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. We are really facing time challenge here because we still have 28 minutes and 2 presentations. And we have to discuss again, I think, because this complex of themes are very important, and I think we need a bit of discussion to exchange about all the rich inputs we got here. So I will give now the floor to Tsatsaki Vasiliki for the next presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome in the 9th Convention of the Institute of Humanities and Social Sciences. Allow me to address a special welcome to our partners from Bulgaria, France, Iceland, Italy, and of course Turkey. Thank you very much for your presentations. You're going to watch a presentation of what went on last year, in the last year's convention, that was held from 6th to 10th June 2022 here in Heraklion, and it was a promotion of ecosystem services and sustainable agriculture in cities and peri-urban natural areas in different European countries. 30 teachers from participant countries participated, of course, and the final aim was a promotion of ecosystem services and sustainable agriculture in cities and peri-urban natural areas in different European countries. The course addressed innovative methodologies presented in meaningful contexts in which the participants experienced the strategies being directly involved in activities such as peer teaching, peer tutoring, formal and non-formal education, and long life skill competencies for sustainable development, biodiversity, geotourism, and other kinds of alternative tourism. Let's move on with the presentation. Day 1, you can see some pictures of what went on. There were workshops, of course, sharing of good practices, sustainable economy, biodiversity, agriculture, an overview of the trending innovative teaching methods and their benefits for the student learning process and attitudes. And of course, something very basic when we have to do with students, they have to live what they hear or what they read or what they see. So workshops, the purpose of the workshops are exactly this, the theory to action, from theory to action. Day 2, you can see day 2, no, we can't see, okay. Day 2, living sustainably, reducing our ecological footprint. It is crucial to understand that the size of the ecological footprint varies from country to country and depends on lifestyle and consumption, rural tourism on CRETE. Let's move on to, this is day 2. Day 3, from farm to work, workshop in an agrotourism and in a winery, organic viticulture, a traditional dairy farm, an organic olive oil farm, farm full of organic vegetables, cooking experience at Kritamon in Archanes. Archanes is a place very close to the center of Heraklion, and knowledge of Crete's gastronomic history and culture, which is very rich. I don't know if any one of you, of the guests here, has ever participated, traveled, or experienced the foods, the cuisine, and if you have ever been involved in the process of cooking with Cretans, maybe. There is also a traditional Cretan village, Arolithos, if you have ever heard of, where you can go there and get involved in such activities. Of course, organized, not as a single visitor. But anyway, it's very interesting, quite interesting. This is a picture from the session, from the workshop on agrotourism. Day 4, exercise is medicine. Activities with students from different disabled primary and secondary schools, outdoor sports in nature. This is basketball court, ι.α.κ.ε. International basketball events are held there. Day 5, love and know about biodiversity, Ψιλορίτης UNESCO Global Geopark, visit to the shepherd's house, following the path of Agios Zakynthos, traditional cheese making and production of cheese and mizithra by the shepherd. Cheese and, have you ever eaten cheese and mizithra? Cretan cheese and mizithra? I hope you eat while you are here. Ask to eat. Okay. We can see some familiar faces. They are in the picture and here with us. Interactive cooking demonstration with dakos, olive, tzatziki, and dolmadakια. The supreme characteristics of the Greek olive tree, varieties, and organic farming. Exchange good practices and discuss challenges with the fellow colleagues and the course trainers about innovative teaching methods and develop sustainable interdisciplinary lessons. Pictures. Size of the ecological footprint varies from country to country and depends on lifestyle and consumption. Kandinsky, Vasily Kandinsky, Colorful Life, a very characteristic picture related to the theme. Thank you very much. Next.
So, okay.
We have a movie from Heraklion, just to see it.
So we are almost getting there. Can Andreas and Maria now come have the floor, please?
It's okay. Good afternoon for me. I think it's the last presentation, so everybody was hungry, and I tried to keep the timetable. I hope to have 1 hour.
Please, you have 10 minutes from now.
10 minutes is okay.
Yes.
My presentation is about saving planet. What the global making in a EU level or and United Nations levels, EU level, and so on. We refer to Earth Summit in Rio in 1992, the first declaration about saving planet. The next presentation is about, I speak about Kyoto Protocol in 1997, and then the last one, the Paris Agreement in 2016, and after the EU recovery programs that we spent until 2017 approximately €1 trillion. And then I refer to the Cyprus program, recovery program. So, their summit in 1992 in Rio. When the people start thinking about what happened with the planet, we have a lot of problems of gas emission and so on and so on. In Rio de Janeiro, in Brazil, in 1992, the United Nations put one frame about the climate change. It's the first one that the people, that the world cared about from United Nations, what will happen. And they set some principles. The main principles of this is people are entitled to healthy, productive life in harmony with nature. It's the first time that the people hear that, yes, we live, but in healthy, but with harmony with nature. The second one is developed today must be written what will happen to the next generations, not to live today and this is the end of the world. And so the environment protection shall constitute an integral part of the development process. That means that everyone who create one program have in mind that I have to protect the nature. So the last one is the major is that the polluter should be principal bear the cost of pollution. That means the EU was adopted this. At this moment, Cyprus and Greece, we paid penalty because we exceed the gas emission. Cyprus, they paid €400 million per year because we have exceeded our code of gas emissions. So, and the last one is the sustainable requires better scientific understanding of the problems. Nations should be share knowledge and technologies to achieve the goal of sustainability. This is a wishes instead of they sharing. What will happen? Rio summit was failed. But unfortunately, we have another failed agreement in Japan, in Kyoto, in 1997. This protocol was signed by 41 countries and also by the EU. This protocol set a simple target. What did they say actually? They say that, all right, we have to reduce our emissions of CO2 up to 5% in 92 levels. That means if this year I spend 100, I have to reduce my emissions to 94.8. It's a small target, but we failed totally. Why? Because the Kyoto Agreement He was buying only the developed countries, not the developing. What does that mean? China and USA said, why you set me this target and you don't put this target to the Greece? Because Greece is developing and I am developed. So I signed it, but nobody using this. And what does that mean is that the protocol says that the main 5 elements of gases is CO2, methane, nitrous oxide, the fluorocarbons, and so on. And this go to the next agreement. This is a completely disaster because Paris Agreement actually say what this. Kyoto Protocol said that up to 2050 we have to reduce the upgrade of the climate Celsius below 2 centigrades. But the Paris Agreement, what does it say? All right, the only that we can achieve is to reduce to increase only up to 1.5. What does that mean? The climate change is here. All the people agreement. This protocol, this agreement, to Paris Agreement, was signed by all countries. The last country that they signed is Afghanistan, is the 192 country that they signed the agreement. But did anybody know after 7 years of the Paris Agreement what we achieved? I don't know. I think that the cases was worse. The 5 countries, including the EU, that they said that they have the greatest emissions in the world are China, 10.6 billion metric tons. That if you see the numbers, China emit all the CO2 that the rest of countries is fine. So that the reason that China never, they say, I don't put in order this agreement because I have to, my factories, my industry, so and so. But although that they signed by all the countries, 192 countries, they signed this agreement. After 7 years, the people don't feeling that they spend a lot of money. So what is happening now? That countries that they have the most emission in the world, they have almost 50% of the global population. They have also 62 global gross domestic product. They have 66% of global fuel consumption. And they have 67 of CO2 emissions. In EU countries, every person that we live in country, we put in the air every year 6.8 tons CO2. This is a very, very big number. So, what happened? What is the sectors that we produce that emissions? Electricity, industry, transportation, buildings, and some other sources. Just think about it, because the recovery, the EU what happened? The EU government said, EU declaration, they say that we agreed together, we have the vision, we have the plan, we have agreed to invest together 806 billion to save the planet. It is now time to get to work to make Europe greener, digital, and resilient. And that they spent in the plan that the 30% of the EU funds is the highest ever in the world that they spend for the plan. Just they see the number 3. Natural resources, because I have only 2 minutes, natural resources and the environment, EU countries, they spend from 2021 to 2007, 400 billion for the climate change, for natural resources. The numbers are tremendous. What does that mean? Read the last sentence. For each EU citizen, they allocated for the 6 years approximately 560 million euro to protect natural resources and climate climate change. Did you feel 500 million to you that somebody gives you? And the question is, where they go with that money? This is the recovery program of Cyprus. That you know, the person, me, Professor Anastasiadis, and the lady, and 1 week later, Prime Minister Mitsotakis was signing the recovery program of Greece, and Greece they have approximately 30 billion for recovery programs. 37 of them will climate objectives. If you calculate the 30 billion and 37, that is meaning approximately 13 billion euros, Greece will be spent for natural resources and environment programs. So let's go to the conclusion. What's on? Climate change is not reversible. This they agreed and they know everyone. There is no political will to change. Because every government said, oh, I make one plan until 2050. Yes, but at 2050, I'm not here, it's somebody else. I am not the person to take the political decision. Every country faces different problems, so they try to solve them. Already they made a lot, significant steps until now, surely, but they remain a lot. We have to make more things. EU recovery plan is the opportunity. And what is that I want to say is this. Every government was failed to make something that they would have to do 30 years ago. For example, you know, Tempe tragedy with the trains, that they killed 57 persons. What does that mean? The Greek government has the obligation to update the train network and so on and so on 50 years ago. And now the EU said, all right, I will give you 100 million to replace them, to update them, and put them under the umbrella, save the planet, save the climate. That's the reason that the EU recovery program is the last opportunity for the EU countries at least. Thank you, because we have, thanks.
Yes, thank you, Andreas. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are almost coming to an end, but I think we have to give to ourselves maybe some few minutes to exchange about this, all these inputs. I don't know if you have the energy for that, but I will want to just to put some words on what Andreas just said, which is actually terrible, because, and link it to some points of the presentation which have been done, because we are actually, what we have to know is that we are facing a cultural problem which is getting dramatic, because the change we are talking, the climate change we are talking about is the Anthropocene. It's the human-made climate change. So, and now, as Andreas just put it, we are making tricks. We are tricking with ourselves. So some questions have to be raised. And one of these questions is, what is the type of relationship we as human, we have to have with our environment if we want to save the planet? Because actually, we have been discussing these questions from an anthropocentric point of view. We don't want to acknowledge that we are part of the nature. There is no, this dualism between nature and human being, it's nothing, you know, we can't afford the problem like that. The other one is the one of the technological escalation. Shall we solve the Anthropocene problem with technology? That is another, I'm just asking question while hearing all what you have been saying. And yeah, not only you, but everybody, because now I don't think that is a matter of money, you know, it's a matter of culture. Which type of culture do we want to get in if we want to deal seriously with this issue, which is, and the third one is that we are talking of it from Europe, and it's okay with us still, but we are talking about climate change. In other places in this on this earth, you have already the climate catastrophe. So it's not about getting into Paris goals and all these things. People are dying already there. So, and we are thinking about these issues most of the time locally, but there are global issues. So how to get out of national, states, or regional thinking and think about these problems globally. So those are some challenges we have to keep in mind, and we as educators, as educational scientists, we are on the spot. We have to do what we can do in our micro or meso level, but I don't know, I am actually not very optimistic as far as these issues are concerned. But I don't know. We have now, I don't know if you have some questions. I've just put in these points like that to summarize things. But if you have some comments, some questions related to all what have been said, please just put it now. Yes, Andreas?
I maybe have one question, and then you can answer this complicated question. My question... Yeah, okay?
No, I just want to make some comments.
Okay, I have a question. Let's take the perspective of those groups who don't have the money and don't have the technology. The kids, I listened to, the children, I listened to a lot of talks here where children were educated, but they behaved with the nature. So from a relational point of view, I would ask, what did you learn by the children who are interacting with the ecosystem? So what did the researchers learn? What did the teachers learn? What did the educators learn? From their experience or from our students? Yeah, to everyone. I don't know if the online community is still there.
As you say, you refer about kids and children. That's the reason that globally we invest to the education to change the culture. We don't change the politics. We change, but we can change the education, the culture. Yeah. Now, all the Erasmus programs, most of them, they are dealing with environment. If one school now submit one program to achieve one program and they said how to teach, they would be failed. If you submit one program about environment, they have 100 possibilities more and more to win. So that's the reason that almost 20 billion of Erasmus program was spent, most of them, to the environment. Now the people are awareness and more awareness, and without they didn't know, they push their governments to move or to take the decisions about the environment. The next Paris Agreement or in any other town that they submit, they not an agreement. They are estimate about the damage until now. And this, my opinion is that will be happen before 2030. That's the reason that we invest all the time in a pre-primary school child and so on, and education students and so on. This is the reason. And at the same time, we put some pressure to the politics.
I know, but what do we learn by the students? What do we learn by the students?
We learn more, but we don't have the power to put it in action.
Yeah.
That's the reason.
Now the comment, I guess.
Yeah, please. Yeah, please.
What you said earlier was clearly depicted in some presentations from colleagues, from guest colleagues from other countries. I just wanted to say that we are all responsible for what is going on in our planet. And young children are taught how to love, protect, and preserve nature. But as we grow older, and when we become adults, because we get involved in daily and practical obligations, we sometimes lose the pace. So we definitely need some alarm clock to remind us, hello, think out of the box. There are other important things, more important than your daily life, because your car broke down, because you have no money to do something, I don't know what, okay? There are things we can do that are economic. We don't need money to save the planet. Instead, we save money protecting the planet. That's the truth. And that's all. I made some notes based on what you said earlier.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yes, you are welcome. Thank you. Thank you also for your comments. Yes. Anna, did you want to say something? And then...
Yeah, I'm just really grateful for what you said about finding a children issue into the topic. Because as we were mentioning before, I think, on our preschool level, which is the early time and the earliest but the proper time for to set the bond with the nature, for to see that relationship and the love. So that's the time that later on we believe the children will care more. Listening about the Paris Agreement, about all those economics, it brings a kind of depressive attitude, actually. And if I put myself as a person, as a mother, as a teacher of those youngsters, but also as an educator for teachers, I think that we can put our attention and our effort into what we can do. So giving our time and energy into trying to set that bond, because that's the beginning. You can put a lot of money, you can teach them how to segregate, but there won't be their personal attitude and their personal efforts in the future without thinking about the love towards the world, about the love towards animals, about the relation with the plants. So when we observe kids, just like you said at the very beginning of the discussion here, when you look at the kids, you will know the answer. And as you said, Madam, we do not need money for that on our level, of course. On the upper, yes, but on the basic, just like we said, think globally but act locally. Do as much as you can in the place you are. That's what we really try to do by the sensory and the nature. And I'm really proud of my preschool colleagues today, of what you all said or not said, actually. Thank you for the voice and for the invitation today.
Thank you also, Anna. Thank you. Corinne, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. So I would like to add my thoughts about this, because you ask what we are learning from the children. So are we able to learn from the children, or are the children able to learn from us, because we are clinging to old paradigms, to old thoughts and old structures? So is it possible for us, who are socialized in old traditions, to teach children something new? I mean, we try to figure out what they need. We try, but do we really have the possibility to know something they should know for the future? So I think this is really it's a time of confusion, where we see that the old structures don't work anymore, but we don't know where we are going, and we don't know what the children will need. So I think it's only about intuition. Yes, no, Andreas.
My question really goes back to the research of the relational approach. And the relational approach tells us that our model of monocausal relationships. So we teach them, they teach us, might be misleading, because what I observed in the first talks, in Iceland, we studied in Iceland, and we saw kids approaching the nature. And this tells us something about the human-nature relationship.
Absolutely.
And it's quite more complex than an economic human-nature relationship. There are some new papers showing that the economic human-nature model doesn't work, that the pedagogical human-nature model doesn't work. So why not observing how people approach nature, build a relationship, and try by observation to learn from it. And this is the relational approach, the relational thinking, and a lot of talks reminded me of questions we have in education science, questions by Jean Piaget. How is the world created? By acting. And these basic questions come back, and I have the hope that we can learn something, but it's a relation, it's a communal influence. You even have to tell kids that they are wasting the nature.
But I think, okay, from their nature,
I know,
children are acting intuitively right.
Exactly.
But we have this thought or this idea that there always has to be somebody adult to teach them how to act in the world. Yeah, but you are right. We should just turn the roles, switch the roles, and observe how kids are intuitively acting right with nature.
That's what I found interesting in all the talks.
I am sorry, but I won't agree with this discussion actually, because we are acting now like we have a lack of knowledge. We know actually what have to be done, but we have to do it. It's not like just burden this problem on children. We know what we should have to do in order to solve the problem, but we don't want to. The question is, are we ready to change our culture and our lifestyles in order to solve this problem? It's not a matter of kids. We know what we have to do. We know from the anthropological point of view that we have been doing things wrong. We have been putting ourselves at the center of everything as if we are gods and we can use everything as means to just to fit our needs, but we are part of it. We are like worms, water, air, and everything is equal to us. And we have to put it in our mind and act like that. We know it actually, but how are we ready to take the steps we need for that? So we don't have to observe the kids. The kids are in interaction with us. They are growing in our culture, So I think the problem is actually, are we ready to take that step? And we are, as the presentation of your homonym, Andrea just show it, we know everything. We know that it's going wrong. We know where we are going into a catastrophe, but we are not ready to give up our lifestyle. And that is the point. That is the problem. It's not for me like we don't have a deficit of knowledge. We know what to do, but we have to act, and we are not acting. I think it's the problem. Yes, Anna Sophia. We are not.
I totally agree with what you were saying. I just wanted to share, because what I really think is important for the children that we do let the children connect to nature. That's the generation that we need to bring up today. And I just wanted to share with you, as I did yesterday, that we are trying to do this through our senses. And as we had the participating countries in our project visiting us in Iceland, we tried this on our very own skin, as we visited different places to really take in the nature using our senses actively. And that was quite a different experience, how you connect to nature. And this is something that we have totally forgotten to do today. So I just wanted to mention this aspect of we not being enough connected to the nature any longer.
Okay. Thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, I think the way we are discussing about this thing, I see it's a serious thing. You know, it's a serious matter, and so I really thank you for this very, very interesting discussion and for all your inputs. I think we did it now. we deserve a break, and I wish you a nice afternoon again. So.